everyone. Well, thank you very much for joining us, to my panel and to all the members of the public who are joining us on this session on the Hacker's Guide to the New Normal Hospitality Technology. My name is Frederic van Lennep. I'm the Business Development Director of IT Hospitality. And today we would like to present to you the Hacker's Guide, which has been a brainchild of IT Hospitality, Ethnic Technologies, and NEC. We've put together a number of technologies that we feel and think that would be very prominent and very important in terms of new normal hospitality operations. Before we get to the panel session, I will introduce you to the Hacker's Guide. And let me share my screen. So welcome to our session, ladies and gentlemen. As discussed and as advertised, today is the Hacker's Guide to a New Normal Hospitality Technology. And on my panel are Graeme Powell, Ronald Stilting, and Kees from Donk. What we will be discussing today is the Hacker's Guide to New Normal Hospitality Technology. As many of you know, is that the global hotel industry has suffered and recovered from its fair share of crises during the past decades, from economic downturns, terrorist attacks, natural disaster, but nothing really has shaken hospitality sector quite like this year's COVID-19 pandemic. This pandemic has forced most hoteliers, or if not all hoteliers, to re-examine their fundamental strategy of preparedness, business survival, data operations, HR policies, and what is important for us, technological investment. In the face of this unforeseen global pandemic, how has the hospitality industry adjusted? How can hoteliers reevaluate their technology strategy to protect their property and enhance their guest experience into the future? And this is what we will discuss today. We've prepared for you a little slideshow, but this whole discussion is basically based on what has changed in the guest journey. The whole guest journey from going to a hotel, arriving to a hotel, staying in a hotel, and leaving the hotel has fundamentally or will fundamentally change in this post-COVID period. And each segment of this guest journey, from booking to flying to transfers, check-in, the guest rooms, the guest access, all of these points, individual points, will have and have been re-examined, and we would like to offer you a slight guide into what technologies you can use and implement into your hotel operations in order to make yourself ready for the new normal hospitality technology. I think first and for all, what is the really big thing nowadays is go digital or go bust. Digital and contactless services will become the norm, ensuring the hotel's readiness for digitalization of core operational process. Everything is being pushed toward digital purely for the simple reason that digital is less contact, and the contactless services is what seems to be driven in the post-COVID operations. It starts in the guest journey from bookings. And online booking is really the way to go. There's a whole lot of bespoke apps and solutions that can help you optimize and ensure better bookings, more better revenue with online booking systems. Once the hotel has been booked and the guest arrives, your hotel front of house is also a point which is before was just security. Now you also have to use temperature screening for guests. A lot of solutions are available to ensure that this is done properly and easily without having to panic or to separate people on arrival. The check-in, as I said, digital check-in, guest on arrival. Your guest can use your bespoke app, which already can be in use for doing the bookings, can use this app to carry out all of the checking processes, provided that your checking requirements are not impracticable and cumbersome. If you don't want to use a check-in digital app, there's also self-check-in kiosks with digital in-touch screens, or there's hybrid solutions combining both your digital app and the check-in kiosk. One of the major role players in technology, in hotel technology, is digital signage. I think digital signage, being dynamic, engaging, and easily updated, are key in terms of communicating with the hotel guests to ensure a regular and consistent message by addressing post-COVID rules, which really are the important part of digital signage nowadays, and also regulations, as well as clear directives for hotel guests. So digital signage has become relatively inexpensive, and especially when you factor in the cost of associated with updating, reprinting traditional static signage, printing posters and notices that you put all around the hotel. With digital signage, all of this is gone, and you can update it at the click of a button. Most of the technologies, and a lot of what we'll be discussing afterwards, will be based upon Wi-Fi connectivity. The hotel Wi-Fi that the guests use for a whole range of reasons, including connecting with friends, catching up with their TV programs, or doing work on their laptop for their business trips. This is becoming the core of the technology offerings to the guest, and having good Wi-Fi connectivity is really crucial for hotels and offering the services to their guests while they stay in your hotel. Your guest will expect a good Wi-Fi connectivity and no longer accept disrupted connections. No more keys. This was a technology which was obviously already available before the COVID situation, and before this COVID pandemic. Digital and mobile key access was something that was much talked about and sort of a must-have, or a could-have, or would like to have part of the technology aspect. Now it's become a must-have. Mobile key access is basically the way forward to ensure less physical touch with all the rooms and the access control. So the whole mobile key access can be built into a bespoke app, and with this mobile app, mobile access, they'll be able to open their hotel room, they'll be able to access conference rooms, they'll be able to activate elevators, and so on. So mobile key really will replace the physical keys and increase efficiency also with communication with the guest and the hotel. Guest room controls. As I said, go digital, go bust. Everything will now revolve around the guest having their own device, so bring your own device. So the applications, your bespoke app, will be able to enhance what you're offering and the digital offerings that you have in your hotel. Not just opening of the hotel rooms, but you'll also be able to control bedroom functions such as lights, telephone, Wi-Fi access, in-room dining, TV systems. All of those can be put into BYOD, which is bring your own device application to the guest. For guests who are less tech savvy, they can also be a two-way communication system over IPTV, basically the in-room TV solution, which allow the guests to communicate with the hotel with regards to in-room dining, check-in, check-out, and billing. The GRMS, the guest room management system, is another technology that is becoming more and more popular with hotels, especially in terms of control of energy usage by the hotel guest. Not just while the guest is in the room, but especially when the guest has moved or out of the room, so that the hotel can basically control their energy use and therefore optimize their energy cost and hopefully make some savings. Front of house, contactless dining. Another way of implementing technologies is by offering your guests, instead of the big binder with the full digital, with the full printed out menus, you can offer them scanning of a QR code, which will then lead them to a website where they can choose and order through their own device what they would like to order for their dining. The back of house is not just the front of house, also the back of house can be fully digitalized, where we have a hotel operations and internal communication platform where the whole staff is interconnected through a system that will manage, supervise, delegate, and communicate in terms of maintenance, room service, management, front office, so where the whole of the back of house operations from the hotel can be put on a digital way, and therefore optimizing the way the communication is done, increasing the response time towards the guest and services, and being able to, by having all of that, delivering an outstanding service, which some hotels could really use. Yeah, this is our hacker's guide. We have a little disclaimer and a call of action. I think what is very key to a lot of the technologies we have proposed and which we will be discussing is that most of these technologies are easily put in place and can easily be retrofitted into hotels that have already been built to a brand standard of an international hotel brand. So it's not necessarily a very high cost, but it's most likely, or it is, a very efficient operational tool. So with this, I would like to thank you. That's that. So as we are here, I would like to introduce you to my panel. I don't know if you're left, right, up or down, but I'll start in the order. With me on the panel is Mr. Graeme Powell. Graeme has in excess of 25 years of experience of the provision of technology within the hospitality industry. The majority of this time he has spent leading businesses on the provider side, but most recently he has spent a lot of time assisting hoteliers with their strategy implementation, and he now does a lot of work confirming whether Wi-Fi installations meet hotel brand standards. Graeme is also regularly involved with HTNG, which is Hospitality Technology Next Generation work groups, having been particularly involved in the areas with respect to improving the guest Wi-Fi experience. Welcome, Graeme.
Good afternoon.
My next panel member is Mr. Kees van Donk. Kees van Donk has held several business development, account and sales management positions in the field of hospitality for companies including Accor, Witness, Philips, and NEC. At the present, Kees is the Director of Hospitality at NEC Unified Solution and operating out of the company's head office in Hilversum, the Netherlands. His responsibilities include marketing, sales, and account management to the hospitality sector throughout EMEA. That's Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Welcome, Kees. Very beautiful background, by the way. And my last panel member for today is Mr. Ronald Stilting, who is active in hospitality management and consultancy for over 35 years, and in Africa since 1998. He's done multiple pre-openings, of which 6 in Africa, and various rebranding and turnaround projects. He was elected General Manager of the Year in 2019 in Nigeria. He's the founder, MD, of Zebra Hospitality, and last but not least, the digitalization advocate and brand ambassador for HotelKit and Code to Order. Welcome, Ronald.
Thank you,
gentlemen, for joining me. Whew, that was a mouthful. I would like to start this discussion, on the Hacker's Guide is, as customer experience and journey is being reimagined in post-COVID operation, which technologies do you feel have the biggest impact on the guest journey? Ronald, what do you feel the biggest impact for these technologies?
Yeah, so I think whatever I say, just consider the fact that I'm looking very much from an operator point of view. So I'm, let's say, pretty much on the forefront of what is happening. So this whole development which is going on, the digitalization and all these things are just merely accelerated by COVID. I mean, everything was bound to happen anyway. So what I'm looking at, one of the key areas which is being impacted, according to me, is the fast and efficient guest communication. That is key. That is what the guest immediately notices, and that communication takes place on different levels. But what you need to consider is that an essential part of the guest experience of hospitality, as it was, is actually human interaction. So we're looking at a serious challenge, is that due to COVID-19, and that is surely something that will stay, is that you want to reduce the amount of human interaction to what is actually necessary, which means that all of this communication, you need to look critically at what is actually needed in terms of human interaction, and what can be replaced by interaction through a system of any sort, ranging from IPTV to guest communication systems. So guest communication for me is a key, because that's the key to the experience. So we need to take out all of those formalities, the check-in, check-out, and even ordering of room service. Yes, you can still do it by phone, and information about, provide a lot of information about the environment of the hotel, the activities of the hotel. You realize that the amount of information which you can provide through a website, or no, it's not a website, it's a web application, any kind of application, is so much bigger than what you could actually do verbally. So it opens a lot of opportunities to increase the amount of information. What I also love about this is that the booking aspect, making your room service order, booking a table, booking a spa treatment, can also be done through the various applications. I mean, and I strongly advocate that I'm really in favor of web applications, and not a real app which you have to install, which is just another threshold. And I'm also not very much in favor, based on experience, of dedicated tablets, because the guest is already carrying his own device, BYOD. That's the key to the whole story. I mean, it's just unimaginable how this little device has taken over our whole life. So that is, those are two very important aspects. And then something else is that like you already mentioned in your hacker's guide, the booking, the whole booking procedure and the whole guest communication online, through the email. I mean, 15 years ago, we started to send out emails, then they were bulk emails, completely not personalized, and you were blasted with information which wasn't relevant for you. And thank God these days, through good CRM systems, that can be optimized, tailor-made based on your booking behavior, based on your preferences, and when you stay, and so on and so on. So the information provided becomes more relevant, which actually improves the revenue generated out of that communication. So those are aspects, and if these systems operate very much, I mean, you can reduce your manpower. So it definitely has a positive aspect in terms of operating costs, and the time and resources you have, manpower, can now be shifted towards useful contacts. So that was my take on the guest experience.
Well, that's a mouthful, but yeah, I mean, basically what you're saying is go digital or go bust. Kees, to you, what operational advantages and positive influence can digital platforms offer the guest journey and to hotel operations?
Well, I wouldn't even describe it as, opportunities. It is indeed let's say the soon-to-be former president of the United States would call it, this is a zero-sum game. So what I mean by this is, hoteliers, they either live by it, they follow the digital route, or they go bankrupt. But just to put it in perspective, also following up on what Ronald very well made clear, the key to everything, not only the mobile key, but the key to this nice game is indeed the smartphone of the guest. Now, we as industry providers, being the technology providers, consultants, ones helping operators, only need to ensure that whatever we put forward is simple, straightforward. I totally agree with Ronald. Not an app. It should be based on a browser, because guests are utterly and totally fed up with guests Make it easy, make it simple. And then it's irrelevant whether or not the guest wants to make a phone call, wants to order a burger, wants to watch a movie, or wants to open a door. That's the key to everything. And then if we follow with the focus on the guest, then the operational benefits, like whether or not a room is occupied, clean, dirty, etc., will follow automatically. But let's assure there are no hurdles in making the guest savvy, simple, to get in, out, and around the hotel. Then the rest will follow.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Ronald, what do you think will be a positive influence of digital platforms on the guest journey?
Yeah, for me, it has been an eye opener. Some experience I've been making with a communication and call it process management application. Honestly, for the last 15 years, I was trying to figure out. I mean, while you're in operations, you have numerous things that have to be sorted out. Small bits and pieces, major things. Things have to happen. Be it a guest request, be it a technical issue, anything from change the light bulb, can I get another towel, X, Y, Z, and you have so many things to manage. And I personally started. I mean. I don't know if you can remember, but where I am at the moment in West Africa, they still operate a lot with these traditional big ledger books, checklists. We eventually went through duplicate, triplicate forms, Excel sheets for a part to try to figure out, okay, has this been done? I've developed some systems myself. And I was on the brink, honestly, on the day after I prepared my crowdfunding request to start developing an application myself. I found an amazing application, and I'm proud to have introduced to that as the first one in Africa. The thing is that it really tracks any activity, and because it's okay, guest XY in room so and so has reported that his his sink is leaking. A task is being dedicated, somebody has accepted the task, and it has to be closed, which means I know now. It doesn't even matter if I'm on vacation, if I'm on the other end of the world, or in the hotel itself, I can see this thing has been tackled. Or, as I've also experienced, when I spoke to my engineer and say, okay, my friend, you've got so and so many things which haven't been dealt with. And something else, I could go on this for quite some time, but I think really something really crucial is, especially COVID-19 related, this whole story, the old-fashioned checklist paper, which eventually nobody really looks at, but a lot of time has been spent on it, goes completely digital. And it even includes QR codes, which means your housekeeping sequences is now captured in a digital checklist. The housekeeper ticks off the things that you've done with a QR code, and there's a checklist, and you know exactly, and that's very important in the new normal COVID-19 related, you know exactly who has done what and when. So at any given time, if you even need to do contact tracing or whatever, okay, this particular room, somebody had a problem there, it has been done by this person at that very moment. So the functionality is quite amazing, and it goes well beyond that. But I found it was a real eye opener, and I think this is really the way to go for operational management.
Yeah, definitely. We heard a lot about bring your own device. A question to you, Graeme. Since the guest experience will be centralized on its own personal device, mobile applications on the guest device, how will they enhance the guest journey? I mean, what benefit will it give to the guest to have his own device activated?
Yeah, well, I agree with what everyone said already, that it's going to be the guest device that's important, not a device that they're provided with. But I think also we work in the hospitality industry. Being hospitable towards people is inherent in our DNA. And coming out of the pandemic, hotels face a difficult balancing act, because many frequent guests would want some form of recognition, but at the same time, people won't want someone getting too close to them maybe, or there won't be the same level of interaction between people that there used to be. So some of that recognition needs to be digital. Now, to go on a slight aside, one of the issues with that that's coming up is MAC randomization, something which was talked about quite a lot during the summer. And yeah, maybe most of us heard about it. Most devices, well, all devices have got a MAC address, and many hotel groups, when you come back into the hotel, recognize the device and say, welcome back, Frederic. It's good to have you with us again. And that could be for the hotel or it could be for the brand. Now, over the last few years, in their infinite wisdom and to improve our privacy, the likes of Apple, Microsoft, Google, all of the operating system manufacturers have brought in more and more in the way of MAC randomization. The big change in the last year is that some of that has been default on. So previously it was there. If the guest chose to use it, they could randomize their MAC address. Now what we've got is we've got a very different situation where if you use an iPhone or you use most Android phones, the Android system is able to be tweaked a bit, your MAC address will change. And therefore, for many, many hotel groups, their method of digitally interacting with the guest has gone. So what we've got to try and work out is we no longer are going to have as much personal interaction, and digital interaction, how are we going to tell who it is? Now, I favor probably using certificates on devices to do that, but that's going to be a challenge for hoteliers. How do we get the same level of personal recognition without having the same interpersonal relationships? So I think what is going to happen is it is going to be possible to book online. It already is. It is going to be possible to select your room online. It already is for many places. It is going to be possible to check in. It is going to be possible to enter the room. It is going to be possible to order food. It's going to be possible to communicate with the hotel. Now, many of the things that you mentioned at the start, Frederic, but all of those are going to have a big benefit to guests who either really don't enjoy the check-in experience or who would normally enjoy it, but for a period of time are going to try and avoid it to limit their contact with people. So yes, there are ways of enhancing the guest journey in that, but I think one of the things which we have yet to fully work out is how are we going to digitally recognize a guest when all of the device manufacturers are making it more and more difficult for logical privacy reasons. I'm not criticizing them, but for logical privacy reasons, they're making it more and more difficult for us to recognize the device. So there's a bit of a challenge there.
Absolutely. Sounds like a big challenge, but I mean, one worthy of overcoming, because being able to recognize the guest and giving, like you said, that personal attention, even though it's not face to face, but through a digital means, will always be part of the hospitality fingerprint and the hospitality that guests will hunger for. Ronald, from an operating point of view, what do you see being the advantages of those bring your own device?
No, I'm like I already said, I'm really in favor of it, and the person handling the device is comfortable with that particular device, and is just going to make life easy for everybody. Now, the interesting discussion I had literally just had yesterday is that as much as it's really a lot about the echo chamber. I mean, who are we talking to? Now, we are all talking to each other, being people completely in favor of digitalization, juggling around with phones and devices. I literally had a discussion yesterday about, let's go completely digital in the restaurant, and the guest can just look up his menu on his phone. And he said, yeah, what about the older generation who might not be that very tech savvy? So it may depend a little bit about the demographics and maybe even geographics, because it definitely depends a little bit where you are. So I'm facing a bit of a challenge at the moment. So we kind of said we're going to do bring your own device, and for the older generation, we're still going to have 10-inch tablets with the same application, but so they don't need to juggle their own phone. So I'm trying to figure out. I'm still in favor of BYOD. I definitely agree that's the key going forward. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, so BYOD with a hybrid system of offering also other digital platforms of digital solutions to people who are less tech savvy. Definitely. Graeme, I have a question for you. What's the backbone of technology integration into hotel operations, and how important is a good high-speed internet access network to enhance the Wi-Fi connectivity in a hotel?
So I'm biased, I'll happily admit that. I've got a background with internet, and my view is that in the same way as when you build a physical building, you take a look at the foundations and you make sure the foundations are properly set up to enable the stability of that building. It's necessary to have a similar approach with respect to the internal network for the delivery of services within the hotels. Now, when guests are connecting to the internet, whether it be to do their work or whether it be to order something from the hotel, when hotel associates are connecting to, as Ronald was saying earlier, scanning a QR code to make sure that they can indicate that something has been completed by them at that time. A lot of those things are going to sit on a wireless network, and the wireless network sits on a wired network. So that property network is absolutely vital in ensuring that all of the services that hang off it function well. I think it's worth remembering that the speed of access is only as fast as the weakest link along the whole way. So there is no point in putting in, or it's questionable, let's say, whether putting in the latest and greatest Wi-Fi 6 APs and 10 gig switches and everything like that is worth it if you then have a 25 megabit connection to the internet. And I think it's also worth considering that more and more back of house applications are going to be sitting on the network as things move above property. More and more of the back of house applications won't be physically taking place within the hotel. They'll be cloud-based, or they'll be in some sort of a above property mechanism. So with fewer and fewer applications being physically based on the property, I think the quality of the underlying network as a foundation for the activities within that hotel is going to grow.
Okay, so big solid backbone is absolutely crucial in order to build other technologies and offering to the guests. Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Kees, I have a question for you. Is digitalization and better connectivity just an added cost to an already overstretched financial impact of post-COVID operations, or can the new technology be used to generate more revenue and optimize operating expenses?
This is probably the question, because you know, a lot of hoteliers, whether they are asset managers, you know, managing hotels with and for different operators, or independent operators, those are the questions they'll be asking now. So they are at the fork at the road. What are we going to do? Well, coming back to my initial remark, it is indeed do or die. So if they don't do it, then by default, you know, you are out of the game. So clearly there is a cost to it. Now, depending on what type of solutions you will go, you can also have discussions with different providers, whether you go CAPEX or whether you go OPEX. And when it's OPEX, you might even consider whether it's not occupancy related. I even I'm even hearing now discussions on GOP related. I find that now that's becoming interested. But clearly there is a cost to it, or let's call it there is an investment related to it. But again, if you don't do it, then you're out of the game. And secondly, if you do it, then do it rightfully, do it smartly, focus on the things that matter and have an impact. And then ensure, what Ronald also was saying, it should be a double-edged sword. So not only focus on, let's say, the operational side of it, yeah, it's efficiency, and efficiency is productivity that has a GOP impact, but also please assure that whatever you put in, let it also be guest focused. So it needs to be both GOP as well as guest, meaning RevPAR focused. So if you do that in the right way, working with the right providers, being consulted by the right consultants, then you have an opportunity to get out of it. If you don't do it, then you're out of it anyway.
Strong words. But yeah, no, absolutely true. It's do or die, especially after within this COVID situation and pandemic we are facing. I mean, people have to look and have to reassess their whole setup, especially in terms of technology and what they offer, and how to balance the financial impact and the revenue that can be generated. Let me start maybe from to all my 3 panel members. Maybe start from operations first. What are, in your experience, the biggest do's and don'ts when it comes to upgrading a hotel's technology platform in view of enhancing that guest experience and journey? Ronald.
Yeah, I think it's important that the applications you use are highly integrated. So either you use an application which already has a very, very big functionality, so you don't need to switch from one to the other. And honestly, I'm just facing some interesting challenges. A hotel which is miraculously looks like it's operating on WhatsApp. It's amazing. 5 different WhatsApp groups for internal communications, while for something else you need to go to the accounting system, the procurement system. It's quite amazing. So integration, and take care that you have interfaces to your PMS, POS that works. So that to make the handling easy, and very much related to that is focus on a very easy user interface, so that you don't struggle, that users don't struggle, be it in-house, back of house employees or your guests. So that's what I would focus on: functionality and interface and user interface.
Fantastic. Kees, from a solution provider's point of view, what do you think are the do's and don'ts for upgrading hotels?
Strange as it may sound, being indeed a solution provider, I totally support Graeme's comment. You do not build a castle on sand. 50% of the country I'm living in is below sea level. So if we don't have dikes, and I mean the brick ones, not the other ones, we would be in dire straits. So build on the fundament, get the fundament right, and then based on a strong foundation, a strong wired network, then you can build a wireless network, and then you can move on to the application layer. But don't start with nice fancy applications if you do not have complete coverage for your Wi-Fi network. So let's start with that, and then the rest will
Graeme, I think Kees pretty much took the words out of your mouth there.
It's nice to know that someone's listening. So yes, I think the way I would view it for that particular aspect is you think infrastructure, hardware, then services. And you look at the refresh cycles around those, and that's why, because the infrastructure, you're not wanting to do that frequently. Hardware, yes, there'll be a refresh cycle, and services, these days with many things being software as a service, that's on off. Okay, not quite instantaneously, but not far off. I think the other thing, if you're going to upgrade something and wanting to enhance the guest experience, how are you going to build in measurement of the guest's experience? How are you going to ensure that what is being delivered is what the guest wants, and that it is enhancing their experience in the way you want? I think also that the flexibility side of things that Ronald mentioned is absolutely correct. It's worthwhile ensuring that you pick a reliable partner and confirm that they've done what you asked them to do, because it's not a good idea to find out 3 months after they've left site that what you thought they were going to do isn't quite what they thought they were going to do, even if you're both operating with the best will in the world. One, don't expect that it's install and done. We're talking about technology here. We're going to need to go back to it. We're going to need to refresh it. We're going to need to update it. We're going to need to, as Ronald was hinting at, link it in with other systems. It's not something where we can just say, there we go, system in, and now I'll just sit back and watch it all work. I don't think that happens. So I think that would be my don't. And one for the previous question about ways to generate revenue. Wi-Fi offload, using open roaming. I think hotels have a big opportunity to generate revenue. Open roaming is a wireless broadband alliance thing. And I think there's a big opportunity for hotels to generate a lot of revenue in respect to Wi-Fi offload. Sorry to go back to the previous question, but hopefully it's a specific rather than a generic how you can generate revenue.
Absolute brilliant. Wow.
Yeah, and if I may make one final remark also related to Graeme of selecting the right partner, don't forget also, the main focus and content we're talking about Africa, the fact that you might have an office, in Lagos and probably most definitely in Joburg, doesn't mean and can cover Africa. So I would definitely seek a partner with the breadth and with the knowledge and with an understanding of the entire African continent, and also then look out where the industry is going. It is Cameroon, it is Kenya, it is Tanzania, it is those type of places. So be assured you select a partner with the right footprint.
Literally being on ground. From my experience, implementing, introducing anything new, it's not just even about, okay, obviously the hardware, the cabling, that's been done, fine, we have it. Even installing a software. Where we need to find a solution is you need to get everybody on board. Yes, that's for a good part something to be done by the operator, by the client. I think, honestly, out of experience, the provider, the supplier, contractor, should take the operator by the hand, because you can install brilliant systems with enormous potential, but if it's not being used properly or to the extent that it can be used, you're not really taking benefit of what you've been doing. And I think that is a little bit where I'm kind of trying to jump in. Yes, I realize I've implemented a certain this software, and I realize if you don't push it, then it will still fall down, and then all of us as providers have kind of failed.
Fantastic. Well, absolutely. I think we're coming to the end of the session. But before we leave, thank you. I want to thank you all, my panel members, for being on this panel. I think the message is clear: go digital or go bust. It's do or die, and make sure that you have a very good and strong backbone network to implement all the technologies. And last but not least, and thank you very much for that, Kees and Ronald, is to ensure that you have good partners that can assist you, be hand in hand, design, implement, integrate, and maintain the systems and the network that you install. For all the people watching, thank you for watching. We would like to invite you to our sponsorship booth at the expo part of this platform. If you click interest, we can send you the Hacker's Guide and give you more detailed information on all the technologies and the implementation and the networks that can be of benefit to you or your project. Thank you very much, Graeme. Thank you very much, Kees and Ronald. If you feel free to join us on the booth, and we can continue this discussion if you want. Have a good afternoon, everybody.